In the ancient valley of Elah, where the sun beats down on dusty earth, two great armies stood locked in a stalemate. The valley lay between the coastal lands of the Philistines and the hills of Judah. On one side, the Israelites, children of Abraham, led by their troubled king, Saul, a people bound by covenant, looking to a leader once chosen and anointed by God, now weighed down by fear. For generations, they had lived as 12 tribes, bound through the promise of God who had brought them out of Egypt. On the other side, the formidable Philistines, a warrior people from the sea, their armor glinting in the light. Settled in fortified coastal cities, they were known for raising warriors who stood far above any ordinary men. For 40 days, a shadow had fallen over the Israelite camp, a shadow cast by one man, a giant. His name was Goliath, from the city of Gath. He was over 9 feet tall, a mountain of muscle and fury. His bronze helmet and coat of mail weighed more than most men. His spear was like a weaver's beam, its iron point a terrifying promise of death. Every morning and every evening, he would stride into the valley, his voice a thunder that shook the very stones.
Choose a man, and let him come down to me.
If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your servants. Goliath mocked the Israelites.
But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us. I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man and let us fight each other.
Fear was a cold poison in the Israelite camp. Not even the bravest warrior dared to answer the challenge. King Saul, a head taller than any of his men, sat in his tent, tormented by doubt and a departing spirit of God. Saul was Israel's first king, chosen when the people demanded a ruler like the nations around them. His reign, once so promising, now teetered on the brink of disaster, paralyzed by the taunts of a giant.
My king, what shall we do about this giant?
The army of the living God was shamed, their courage withered. Far from the battlefield, in the quiet hills near Bethlehem, a young man tended his father's sheep. His name was David, the youngest of 8 sons of Jesse. He was a shepherd, with a ruddy complexion and a heart full of psalms. His days were spent guiding his flock, his nights under a canopy of stars, his only companions a harp and a sling. He knew the paths of the wilderness, the cry of the hawk, and the roar of the lion. Twice, he had faced down predators that threatened his flock, a lion and a bear. With nothing but his bare hands and shepherd's staff, he had delivered his sheep from their jaws. He was just a boy, but his faith in God was immense, forged in solitude and proven in courage. One day, his father Jesse called him.
David, come here, son.
I need to send you on an errand.
Jesse gave David an ephah of roasted grain and 10 loaves of bread to take to his brother at the camp.
See how your brothers are, and bring back some assurance from them.
So David rose early, left his sheep with a keeper, and journeyed to the valley. He arrived just as the army was going out to its battle positions, shouting the war cry. But as he reached the supply wagons and greeted his brothers, the familiar, dreadful sound echoed across the valley once more. Goliath stepped forward as David watched the Israelite soldiers flee in terror. A fire ignited within him. He asked the men standing near him,
"What will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?"
His older brother Eliab heard him and burned with anger.
What are you doing here? You should be tending those few sheep in the wilderness. Go back home.
I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is, and you came down only to watch the battle.
But David was undeterred.
Now what have I done? Can I even speak?
He turned away and kept asking, his words fueled by a spirit the soldiers could not comprehend. He spoke with the soldiers, hearing of the reward promised by the king, and asking why no one would stand against the Philistine. A soldier whispered,
The man who kills him will be given great riches, the king's daughter, and freedom from taxes for his family forever.
Word of David's bold questions reached King Saul, who sent for him.
He told me to tell you he is not afraid, my king. He will face the giant. Bring him to me.
The shepherd boy stood before the tall, weary king. Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him. Saul looked at the youth before him, disbelief in his eyes.
You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him, and you are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth.
But David's confidence was not in his own strength. Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep, he explained. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it and rescued the sheep from its mouth.
When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it.
Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them.
The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. A flicker of hope sparked in Saul's eyes. He saw something in this boy, not arrogance, but an unshakable faith. Saul then dressed David in his own tunic, putting a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head.
Go, and the Lord be with you.
David fastened on his sword over the tunic and tried walking around, but he was not used to them.
I cannot go in these, because I am not used to them.
And so, he took them off. He stripped away the armor of men, the weight of human expectation. Instead, he took his shepherd's staff in his hand. He walked to the nearby stream bed and chose 5 smooth stones, placing them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag. With his sling in his hand, he walked out into the valley towards the waiting Philistine. Goliath saw him coming and despised him. A boy? With a stick? The giant laughed.
Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?
He bellowed, and he cursed David by his gods.
Come to me, boy, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air. By Dagon!
The Philistine army roared in approval, anticipating a swift and brutal end. But David's voice rang out, clear and powerful, cutting through the jeers.
You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of...
It was not the voice of a boy, but the voice of a prophet, a king in the making.
This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down.
And the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. David continued.
All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's.
David was convinced the Lord would deliver all Philistines into their hands. As Goliath moved closer to attack, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. The world seemed to slow down. The shouting of the armies faded into a distant hum. There was only the giant, the boy, and the space between them. Reaching into his bag, David took out a stone. He placed it in his sling, and with a practiced, powerful motion, he swung it around his head. The sling whistled through the air. The stone shot forth, a tiny missile of faith against a mountain of flesh. It flew straight, embedding itself deep in the giant's forehead. Goliath staggered. His eyes, moments before filled with rage and contempt, now went vacant. He swayed for a moment, and then crashed down on the ground with a thunderous thud. A stunned silence fell over the valley. The Philistines stared, unable to believe what they had just seen. The Israelites held their breath. David ran and stood over the fallen giant. With no sword of his own, he drew Goliath's massive sword from its sheath. It was heavy in his hands, a blade meant for a giant, now wielded by a boy. With a final decisive act, he ended the threat forever. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran. A great shout erupted from the Israelite camp, a cry of shock, of relief, of triumphant victory. They surged forward, pursuing their enemies, their fear replaced by a divinely given courage. One boy's faith and courage changed the tide of an entire war. That day, a shepherd boy became a hero, and a king was revealed. He had walked into the valley with a staff, a sling, and 5 smooth stones. But he also carried something unseen, a faith that could move mountains, a courage born not of armor and steel, but of a deep and abiding trust in his God. We all have giants in our lives. They are the obstacles that seem too big, the challenges that feel insurmountable, the fears that paralyze us. The story of David and Goliath teaches us to stop focusing on the size of your giant and start focusing on the size of your faith, your inner strength, your God. Remember, courage isn't waiting for the fear to go away. It's about taking action in spite of the fear. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments what giants you're currently facing and what stones you're using to fight them.